On the dry, wind-scoured plains of southern Africa, in a land of red sand and pale grass, and a sky that goes on forever, one of the smallest predators alive is about to begin the hardest job in nature: staying alive. It weighs less than a bar of soap, it stands about as tall as a coffee cup, and almost everything around it, from the eagles turning overhead to the snakes coiled in the shade, would happily make a meal of it. This is the meerkat, and this is the story of how a blind, helpless newborn becomes a survivor in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods on Earth. Meerkats belong to the mongoose family, and they make their living in the harsh, semi-arid country of southern Africa, above all the great red expanse of the Kalahari. An adult stands barely 30 centimeters tall and weighs less than a kilogram, and in the wild, it is doing well to reach the far side of a decade. Small, short-lived, and hemmed in by hunger and predators on every side, the meerkat should by rights be little more than a footnote in the desert, a snack waiting to happen. That it not only survives but thrives comes down to a single, radical idea. Face this world not as a lone animal, but as a tight, disciplined society where every member has a job to do. It starts underground, in the dark, somewhere beneath an old termite mound, in a burrow dug deep into the hard-packed soil. A female meerkat has given birth. There are 3 of them, tiny and pink and utterly defenseless, folded together in a chamber no bigger than 2 cupped hands. They cannot see. They cannot walk. They cannot even keep themselves warm. For now, their entire universe is this single dark room, a meter beneath the surface, the steady heartbeat of their mother, and the warmth of the bodies pressed against them. Everything they need, and everything that keeps them alive, comes from her. But a meerkat is never truly alone, and that is the first secret of how it survives. The mother is not raising these pups by herself. She belongs to a group, a tight-knit clan that can number anywhere from a handful of animals to more than 30. And in the world of the meerkat, the group is everything. They dig together, sleep in a heap together, hunt within sight of one another, and defend one shared patch of ground as a single family. The pups born into this burrow are not just her children. They are the future of the whole mob, and the whole mob has a stake in keeping them alive. In most meerkat groups, only one female, the dominant matriarch, breeds. The others, her sisters and daughters, and the young males that have not yet left, become helpers. This is one of the most remarkable arrangements in the animal world, a system biologists call cooperative breeding. Adults that have no pups of their own will still spend their days guarding, feeding, and teaching someone else's young, because in a family this closely related, every surviving pup carries a share of their own blood forward. Survival here is not a solo performance. It is a group project rehearsed over generations. There is a reason all 3 of these pups belong to a single mother. In a meerkat mob, the dominant female guards her right to breed with an iron grip, flooding the group with hormones and aggression that suppress the fertility of the subordinate females around her. She may drive a pregnant rival out of the family entirely, or, in the harshest twist of clan politics, kill the pups of another female to protect the primacy of her own litter. It sounds merciless, and it is, but it concentrates the family's collective effort onto one set of young at a time, giving those pups the undivided care of a dozen adults rather than splitting it thin across competing litters. The cruelty and the cooperation are 2 faces of the same strategy. For the first weeks, the newborns stay hidden. While the rest of the mob heads out to forage at dawn, 1 or 2 adults hang back as babysitters, staying at the burrow to watch over pups that cannot yet watch over themselves. It is a genuine sacrifice. A meerkat that skips a morning of foraging goes hungry, sometimes dangerously so. And yet, the group takes turns doing exactly that, day after day, so the young are never left undefended in the dark. Down in the chamber, the pups grow with astonishing speed, fueled by milk and warmth and the quiet, constant labor of animals that are not even their parents. Then, one morning, the world changes. 3 or 4 weeks after birth, blinking and unsteady, the pups climb the burrow's long tunnel and meet daylight for the first time. Imagine it from their point of view. Until this moment, existence has been darkness, warmth, and the smell of family. Now, suddenly, there is a blaze of sunlight, a horizon that stretches impossibly far, a wind full of 1,000 unknown scents and sounds coming from every direction at once. The outside world, which was never even a rumor to them, is abruptly enormous, dazzling, and utterly beyond their understanding. At first, they barely dare to move. They huddle at the burrow entrance, tumbling over one another, squinting against the glare, retreating underground at the smallest surprise. But curiosity is stronger than fear, and little by little it pulls them out into the open. And here is the hard truth of a meerkat's life, learned on that very first day above ground. In the wild, curiosity always travels with danger. Every step away from the burrow is a step toward the things that want to eat them, and the only way to grow up is to take those steps anyway. So the learning begins, and for a young meerkat, almost everything is a lesson. A new scent drifting across the sand is information. A distant sound could be food, or it could be death. And telling the difference is a skill that has to be built. Every shift of movement in the grass, every shadow that crosses the ground, every ripple of unease that passes through the adults around them, all of it is a signal to be read. The pups watch the older members of the mob constantly, copying what they do, flinching when they flinch, and slowly assembling a map of a world that is trying, at every turn, to end them. For weeks, the pups shadow the foraging mob, with a constant, insistent cry, a high begging call that means, plainly, feed me. And the adults do, dropping what they dig up straight into open mouths long before the youngsters can find enough on their own. It is another quiet cost the group absorbs, grown animals handing away hard-won food to young that give nothing back yet in return. But the begging does not last. As the pups grow more capable, the handouts taper off. The adults grow slower to share, and hunger itself becomes a teacher, pushing the young to dig deeper, look harder, and finally, feed themselves. One of the first lessons is the most important the meerkat clan possesses, the sentinel system. While the group forages, one adult will break away, climb to the highest point it can find, a mound, a rock, a low branch, and stand upright on its hind legs, scanning the sky and the horizon. This is the sentinel, the lookout, and for as long as it stands guard, the others can dig and hunt with their heads down, trusting that someone is watching for them. Every so often, a sentinel gives a soft, steady peeping call, a running commentary that means, in effect, all is well, keep working, I have you. When that calm changes, it changes everything. Meerkats have one of the richest alarm call systems ever recorded in a mammal. They do not simply signal danger, they signal what kind of danger and how close it is. A sharp, urgent call for a predator in the sky sends the whole group diving flat or bolting for the nearest hole. A different call warns of a threat on the ground, a jackal or a snake, and triggers a different response. The young must learn these calls, the way a child learns words, and a pup that reacts a heartbeat too slowly to the wrong sound may not get a second chance to practice. Everything about the meerkat's body is shaped for this life. The dark patches around its eyes work like an athlete's smudged eye black, cutting the glare of the African sun so it can stare into a bright sky for the flicker of a hawk. Its eyes sit high and forward, tuned to catch movement at a great distance. Its belly is thinly furred and darkly skinned, a built-in solar panel for those cold morning sunbaths. Long, curved claws make it a formidable digger, and a slender tail props it upright like a kickstand when it stands its sentinel watch. It is a small animal, assembled feature by feature into a specialist in seeing danger early and disappearing underground fast. The greatest danger comes from above. For a meerkat, the open sky is both a workplace and a graveyard, because the animals that kill them most often are birds of prey. A martial eagle, one of the most powerful raptors in Africa, can drop out of a clear blue sky faster than any warning. And against a strike like that, a meerkat's only defense is to have already vanished underground. This is why the mob riddles its territory with bolt holes, dozens of emergency entrances scattered across the home range, so that wherever they are foraging, safety is only a short, desperate sprint away. A meerkat never wanders far from a hole in the ground, because the ground is the one place the eagle cannot follow. To see the system work is to watch an ordinary morning turn in a single second into a matter of life and death. The mob is spread across the sand, heads down, digging. The sentinel on the mound catches a fleck of movement against the blue, and its soft peeping snaps into a hard, screaming bark. In an instant, the grassland empties. Bodies that were scattered and calm are suddenly pouring into holes, vanishing beneath the surface, and a shadow sweeps across the patch of ground where a pup stood a heartbeat earlier. The eagle pulls up, empty-taloned, and banks away to try its luck elsewhere. Underground, the family waits in the dark, hearts hammering, until a cautious adult creeps up to read the sky, and the all-clear passes quietly down the tunnels. Threats come from the earth as well. Jackals trot the plains, looking for anything small and slow. Snakes slide into burrows in search of pups. Rival predators and even other meerkat mobs can turn a quiet morning deadly. And so the family answers danger the way it does everything else, together. Faced with a snake or a cornered predator, meerkats will bunch into a tight, seething mass, raise their fur to look larger, and advance as one, growling and lunging, a wall of small bodies pretending to be a single, big, and furious one. Alone, a meerkat is almost nothing. Massed together, the mob can bluff and bully creatures many times its size into backing down. While the sky is watched, the real work happens with the nose to the ground. Meerkats are diggers, and they earn their living by tearing into the soil after prey their sharp claws and keen sense of smell can find, but their eyes cannot. Beetles, larvae, spiders, small reptiles, eggs, roots, the occasional bird, all of it is fair game. But the meerkat is most famous for the food that fights back: scorpions. Out here, a fat scorpion is a rich, reliable meal, and the mob harvests them constantly, flicking them out of the sand and dispatching them with a speed that looks almost careless. It is not careless at all. Many of these scorpions carry stings potent enough to kill, and handling them safely is not an instinct the pups are born with. It is a craft they are taught. And here, meerkats do something genuinely rare in the animal kingdom, something close to true teaching. An adult will bring a scorpion to a begging pup, but not a whole, healthy one. For the youngest, it first bites off the stinger, delivering a disarmed meal in perfect safety. As the pup grows more capable, the adults begin handing over scorpions that are only wounded, then, finally, live and fully armed, gradually raising the difficulty as the pup's skill improves. Step by step, the clan trains its young to master a weapon that could kill them. What is remarkable is where all this effort leaves the question of water. Because across much of the meerkat's range, open water is a rare luxury that may not appear for months at a time. They do not need it. A meerkat draws almost all the moisture it requires straight from its food, from the juices of insects and the soft bodies of larvae and grubs, wringing a living out of a landscape that offers almost nothing to drink. Roots, tubers, and the occasional fruit round out the diet in the leanest seasons. It is a body built for scarcity, engineered to squeeze survival from a place that seems, to any larger animal, to hold nothing at all. And still, most attempts end in failure, and that too is part of the design. A single dig into the dry soil turns up nothing. A careful scan across the grassland reveals no threat and no food. A pup lunges at a beetle and misses, fumbles a scorpion and drops it, mistimes a dash to a bolt hole and is scolded back into line. Survival is not won in one heroic moment. It is assembled slowly, out of hundreds and thousands of small tries, most of them clumsy, many of them useless, each one leaving behind a little more skill than the pup had before. The failures are not the opposite of learning. They are how learning is made. Not all of a young meerkat's learning looks like work. Between the lessons and the labor, the pups wrestle, chase, and tumble over one another in bouts of play that look like pure joy. And in a sense they are. But they are also rehearsal. The mock fights sharpen the reflexes a real predator will one day demand. The play chasing trains the sprints that will one day carry a meerkat to a bolt hole a half-second ahead of an eagle. Nature rarely wastes anything, and even the games of a meerkat pup are quietly preparing it for a world where a single, slow reaction can be the last one it ever makes. Day by day, the balance quietly shifts. The pup that once could not lift its own head begins to dig its own holes and find its own food. It starts to read the sky without being told, to freeze at the right call, to recognize the particular stillness that means an eagle is somewhere above. The mother and the helpers who once guided every single step begin to hang back and watch from behind, letting the youngster make its own choices and its own mistakes in a world that is finally starting to make sense to it. Independence does not arrive all at once. It seeps in, one small competence at a time. There are gentler lessons, too, woven between the dangers. On cold desert mornings, when the night has leached the warmth out of everything, the whole mob gathers at the burrow mouth, stands tall, and turns dark-bellied toward the rising sun, soaking up heat before the day's work begins. It is one of the most familiar images of these animals, a row of upright figures facing the dawn, and it is not sentiment but survival. A small body loses heat fast, and a warm meerkat is a fast, alert meerkat. The young learn this rhythm as surely as they learn the alarm calls, the daily pattern of sun, forage, watch, and shelter that shapes every meerkat life. They learn the shape of home, too. A mob holds a territory and defends it fiercely, marking its boundaries with scent and, when rival groups push too close, meeting them in pitched and dangerous confrontations that can end in real injury and death. Within that territory, the family keeps not one burrow, but many, and it moves between them, abandoning a den when it grows foul or dangerous, and shifting the whole clan, pups and all, to a fresh one. The burrow the pups were born in is only the first of many homes, the place where their story started rather than the place it will end. Adulthood, when it comes, also brings a reckoning with the mob's harsh arithmetic. Only one female will ever rule this group, so the daughters who stay live under constant tension, and some are eventually evicted, forced out to wander the dangerous open country alone, or to gamble everything on founding a mob of their own. Young males face a different road, drifting away from the family that raised them to seek out other groups, roving in search of a territory and a chance to breed. Many of these wanderers never make it. The land beyond the mob's borders is where a meerkat is most exposed and most likely to die. But those that succeed carry the family's blood into new ground, and the whole restless cycle begins again, somewhere over the horizon. And then, almost without a visible moment of triumph, the young meerkats are simply survivors. The tiny blind creatures that once lay helpless in the dark now walk out across the open grassland on their own, digging, watching, standing sentinel, snapping up scorpions, reading the sky. In time, they will take their own turns as babysitters and lookouts, and some will help raise the next litter of pups born into the mound, feeding and guarding young that are not their own, exactly as they were once fed and guarded. The lesson comes full circle, and the group carries on. And there are years when none of it is enough. A hard drought can burn the insects out of the soil and starve a mob down to a fraction of its number. A run of bad luck with the eagles can hollow out a whole generation of pups. Disease can sweep through a burrow full of animals sleeping in a single warm heap. The meerkat's entire way of life, the crowding, the sharing, the endless activity out in the open, is a wager that the strength of the group will outweigh the dangers of living small and exposed. Most years it does. Some years it does not. And the plain simply reclaims what it lent. Because in the natural world there is no final victory, no moment when the danger ends and the animal is safe forever. The eagles will keep turning overhead. The snakes will keep coming for the burrows. Every dawn will ask the same question it asked the day before. What a meerkat has instead of victory is something quieter and far more durable. The ability to adapt, to cooperate, to learn from 1,000 small failures, and to face another morning as part of something larger than itself. The burrow endures, the mob endures, and life, against every odds stacked against these small and stubborn survivors, simply continues.